Joining us from the Bay Area is Broadpoint AmTech's Brian Marshall, top-rated analyst for Apple, knows a thing or two about Steve Jobs and company. Brian, is this really that big a deal? I'll be honest with you. I tend to Google out of habit because I'm just too lazy to type in another handle. But, the other day I went to Bing and I tried it. And, for what I need, I get largely the same thing. Is this really that big a deal?
Yeah, that's a good question, Bernie. At the end of the day, Apple, Google, Microsoft, these are all obviously $200 billion plus market cap companies. So it's not really that big of a deal. Having said that, it could add actually a couple percent to Apple's bottom line by our calculation if they were to make this transition. So it remains to be seen what happens. But clearly, Apple and Google are kind of running parallel paths. They're competing much more commonly now in a lot of different areas. And so, this could actually be a little bit accretive to the Apple business model in our view.
Is this more of a business thing or a personal thing? Well, I guess they're kind of intermingled right now, but it definitely points to the increased, rivalry or the standoff between Apple and Google. Are they sworn enemies
Sure.
At this point? How can you categorize this?
Yeah, I wouldn't say sworn enemies, but their friendship is definitely starting to fray. Clearly, Eric Schmidt left the Apple board earlier this year. They have competing product lines, not only in software, but hardware now, and I think that's going to continue in the future. So if you look just on a mobile search alone, Apple cumulatively has shipped after this quarter, after the December numbers are reported next week, we estimate 100 million iPhones as well as iPod Touches. Now, those are the two products that you can have internet connectivity on and search with Google search engine. If that were to switch over to Bing from Microsoft, that's actually a pretty substantial base, and so that could be potentially the profit could be doubled there. If you look at the total acquisition cost, we assume that probably 80% of Google goes to Apple. I think if a Microsoft deal were to be struck, Apple would definitely have the bargaining chip there, and we assume that TAC percent would probably rise to well over 100%, as well as the dollar per search that actually Apple is paid as well.
Brian, the irony is not lost on me that, by considering Bing and talking to Microsoft, it's like, I'm being attacked on two fronts by two enemies. I'm going to ally with the weaker of the two enemies, and hopefully we can make some peace and break bread at some point, because they're all competitors in a sense, right? I mean, you've got Microsoft, Yahoo search going with Bing and all that. I mean, how does this all come out in the mix? Are friendships being made where, standoffs once existed? Sure.
I think an interesting quote is, your enemy's enemy is your friend. And so if Microsoft's if Microsoft's biggest competitor is Google, and Apple now is having increasing conflict with Google, it is a possibility that Apple will start working more closely with Microsoft in the future.
I never thought of it that way, but you're absolutely right. Your enemy's enemy is your friend. It's like arming the guerrillas to fend off the insurgents. Question is, how many bullets do they hold off after that frontal attack? Brian, have a great rest of your afternoon. Brian Marshall,
Sure.
Broadpoint AmTech, San Francisco, California.